guys, Insomnia from Unreal, second division of Blender Tech, and welcome to part 9, the first bonus video of the dynamic linked inventory and crafting system. However, this won't directly have anything specific to do with the logic, the way it works, just looks. So a user said some animations on this would be nice to see, so I decided, well, why not do some of that quick. So thusly, today we're going to add some simple animations to show how it's done. With that said, open your project. We're working in 4.8. Remember our motto, create your way, and let's get to it. So, open up your widget inventory button and widget inventory main widgets. And so what we need to do is in a widget inventory button, create a new variable, sorry, not a macro, create a new variable called widget inv main ref and set the type to widget underscore inv main, basically to your main inventory, and we'll make that public just to be safe, and compile and save. And we want to break this connection here for on clicked. We want an animation to happen when we click on one of the buttons, so break that connection here, or actually I guess we could just do it right after there, so we'll just do it afterwards, I guess, right there. So anyways, in the main inventory, break the connection in between add child and set item data. So after we create the widget, we will be needing to do this. So what we want to do is drag off of the return value, and then we want to set widget underscore inv main ref. And what we want to set it to, just connect that up, execution wires. We want to drag off the pin there, and we want to get a reference to self. That way, we can communicate from our main inventory to the button, because it's hard to create casts or references and such. And so this gives us a direct line of communication, because we're gonna need to do all the animations in our inventory. So in our inventory designer, let's take the border details here. I had them out of the way practicing, sorry. I think this was 96, something like that, yep. So, we closed our animation windows, so let's open them up. Open up your timeline and animations, and we can right click on timeline and hide tab, and same with animations, give us a little more room. And then I'm gonna go window and save layout. And so we want to add a new animation by pressing plus, and we'll give it a name. We are gonna call it wiggle inv list, and so we're just gonna give this inventory list a little wiggle when we click on a button. So what we want to do is select that animation, and you'll see that we have this timeline. It's measured in seconds, and we have values. And then I have snapping off, so I can go smoothly, which is great for doing nice animations wherever you want. But when you're first starting, enable snapping, which it should be by default. It'll be orange. That way you'll snap right to the little ticks. So we want to start at 0 seconds. We'll also get into curves, so we can show different stock curves and how to make our own. I'm not going to get into auto key. I feel it's a waste of engine programming experience. But anyways, so basically how animations work are, if you've ever noticed these little icons and wondered what they've done, those allow you to add keyframes to an animation. So if you're not familiar with 3D modeling, a keyframe is at this frame, key in the values of whatever I want. So this frame 0 is, or at 0 seconds is frame 0. I want to key in position Y to be 96. So what we're going to do is we're going to select our inventory list. We want the root object, the border list. So just the main border that surrounds that, or that holds everything in the end. And I looked at a couple ways to do this, and we could play with the position, but I found a way. It looks a little bit cheesy, but it's nice and easy. If we go to render transform and expand transform, there's shear, which looks a little cheesy actually too. Even at 1, between 1 and 0 is quite noticeable. But angle, we can go in 1 degree increments. I found that worked pretty good. So you want this to be a fairly quick animation, less than ½ a second. So to zoom in, you hold down Control and then use the scroll wheel on the dark gray area here. And to move, you just right click and drag without the Control button. Actually, sorry, you can zoom in with just the scroll wheel. You don't need to hold Control. So we're just gonna zoom right in. We want about no more than a ¼ second animation. We'll go for about a 1/5 of a second. So 0.20. So at 0 seconds though, we want it right stock. So what we do is we go to the angle and we just press the little add keyframe, and you'll see it pops up here. And we have curve editor turned on. We'll turn that off because by stock it's off. We'll get into that in a little bit here. So at 0 seconds, it's going to be at 0 degrees. Then at 20 seconds, we want it back to the same, so at 0, so we'll add another keyframe. So you'll see if we scrub the timeline, nothing happens. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to disable snapping so that I can add some ones nice in here wherever I want. So I'm going to go to about 0.75 or so right about there. Maybe a little bit before, maybe just past 0.05. And I'm going to set the angle to 1. And then I'm going to keyframe it. And then I'm going to go to about 10, just before, just before 10, yep. And I'm going to go to 0 and keyframe it. And then I'm going to go just a little bit past, maybe somewhere around there, and I'm gonna go -1 and keyframe it. I'm gonna go to right past 0.15, so really close after. I'm gonna go to 0 again, keyframe it, so that'll kind of wiggle it, and then it'll stick that way to the end. So we actually ended up with only a 15th of a second animation. You can see how we get that wiggle. It rolls over, back, and then it goes the other way really quickly. So you can see that little animation. And we can of course loop and play if we want to see what it looks like. So a little wiggle. So how do we actually play that animation through Logic? I'm going to turn snapping back on. So we have this wiggle inventory list animation. So what we do is we go into the graph, and we now have this new variable category called animation, so we can drag these out as a getter. So what we need to do is, you could of course, you could just, the way you play animations is type in play animation, and it's under user interface animation, and then you just, the in animation, you just drag it right onto there and it'll play it, whatever execution loop you're in. But since we're going to do it on the button and we set up that reference, I'm going to just do a new custom event. So custom event, I'm going to call this wiggle imb list, anim. And so this custom event is going to, just like I showed you, play an animation. And the animation is going to be wiggle the animation list, or the inventory list, sorry. And so now we want to go to our button, and when we click on one of these, we want to drag out our reference variable so that we can access data, drag off of it, and then we want to call that event, so wiggle imb list animation. So call that function. So now compile, and we get an error. We have to compile the other one first. Compile. There we go. Save and play. Pick up an item. Now when we open our inventory and we click on an item, it gives us a little wiggle. So kind of just shows you how it works. Now let's do another one. Let's take the details box, and remember how we set it up so when we clicked on or that these buttons weren't visible until we actually clicked on one. Let's make it so that the details come into the screen. I mean, it'd have to be quick if you want to put it in a game, but it shows you how we can use a curve editor is what we're gonna kind of get with here. So I'm gonna grab the border for the details, and we're gonna make a new animation called data fly in. That'll work. And so again, we're going to select it, snapping on 0 seconds, and we want position X and position Y to be our keyframes. So Y and X. So that'll be where it starts. Or sorry, no, undo that, Control Z. We want it to start way up, so we'll drag up here, and we'll just go to the right a bit. Take note of your first values, 712 and or negative 712 and 96. I can remember them. And so yeah, then we want to do our keyframes. So position Y, position X, and again I'm going to turn off snapping. I'm going to zoom in. I want this to be quite short. So we'll go to maybe about a fifth of a second again. Actually, sorry, we need to change our values first. So position X, negative 712, or sorry, 712 and 96. If you keyframe it and then type in your values, it obviously won't work. You'll get whatever values you keyframe. So at the end, we want it back where it started. So position X, and it always does that for some reason. If you don't hit Y first, it's just, I don't know, something to do with Unreal. And then Y. So as you can see, it does nothing, or as you can see, it flies in. So it starts wherever we threw it up there, and then it flies in. But we wanna make that a little more interesting. So say about right here, we want it to come to the left faster, or right when it comes on screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it over, and I'm going to keyframe position X. See what that looks like. So you can see it kind of comes in and then down. But that's very bland on its own. If I play it, you'll see it's just very, just bland. It just comes straight in. But what we can do is turn on the curve editor, and you'll see it. The reason it's so bland is because the lines are straight, and what the lines are is how the values change. You can see they're constant here, but you can see how they change here, the X and the Y accordingly. The X being red, the Y being green, I believe. And so what we want to do is change the curves or make our own. So right now it would be on, if we select a point, it tells us it's on a linear interpolation, or what's known as a lerp. So lerps are great, but they're kind of boring. So there's a few presets. You could say select all of them. I'm going to marquee select them here. You can change it to constant interpolation, which does it as a constant speed. You can see it's kind of a juk-juk, because the values just change immediately. There's cubic interpolation, which does smooth things out. You'll see it's now a lot smoother. Cubic interpolation user flat tangents, and then cubic interpolation automatic tangents allows us to edit that. However, you'll see there's no difference between them at stock. But if we take automatic tangents, so what we can do is we can zoom in, give ourselves some room here. See, can I fit selection on screen? Zoom to fit vertical and horizontal. It's about as good as it's gonna get. Zoom to fit. Yeah. So what we can do is we can drag these to get different looks. So for example, if I did something extreme like that and that, you know, just made the values go all over the place, and did the same for the Y. You'll see the bigger difference we get here when I hit play. It's all over the place. That's actually kind of a cool look though. So you can see how editing the curves can give you different looks. I'm gonna undo that, select them all again. So we can create smoother transitions though, well, I guess it automatically does, by adjusting the curves, or we can just give it a little bit of interest. So you can see here it's going to start out flat, then it's going to quickly zoom, then come to its value. And the Y, you can see how it just it speeds up, it's linear, and then it slows down. But we could have it so that it comes in, say, real slow. We would need to add another point. We could add a key. But you can see it comes in really slow, and then we could make it so that it speeds to its value. So if we hit play, we get that kind of crazy look, I guess. Oh, we were on flat user tangents. Automatic's gonna create a lot smoother of you'll see if we select one here, it doesn't give you those extremes. It tries to keep them curvy, which is nice and smooth, what you want. You probably want it the other way. But anyways, you guys get the point. So you can just play with it and you get really nice looks. It's basically, it changes the values, yes, but it's mostly used for how fast is this value going to change, slow or fast. That's, you can see this nice smooth. So in the Y, it's a nice smooth look. But anyway, so data fly in, so we can do the exact same thing. Custom event, data fly in. Right, you can't name it an animation. Data fly in anim. I'm gonna play an animation. That animation is gonna be data fly in. And we'll go to the button and graph, and so when we click on one, it's going to do the same thing. So we just want to drag off there. I'm going to create a reroute node, bring it down there, connect that up, and take this, like, get rid of that actually, go like that, and we want to call data fly in. Alrighty. So now when we play that, oh yeah, you need to compile that first, right? Compile, perfect. Alright, so play, select one. I was too much out of the screen, but you can see how it flies in. We can fix that, however, by simply going to 0 seconds and just moving it way out of the way, basically, and then rekeying it, and we'll get a different animation because we didn't compensate for that. But now it should be out of view. There we go. So whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. So you get the idea. It's really, you're limited by your creativity. So it just adds a little bit of interest. So yeah, that's the basics of GUI animations. So in the next video, I think I'm going to make a little quick bar at the bottom. I'm going to show you how to start working with slots. So anyways, thanks for watching from the team here at Unreal Tech, a division of BlenderTech.com. If you enjoyed this video and learned something, please like it and don't forget to subscribe for more videos. We're on social media on the links on your screen. If you disliked this video for some reason, please tell us why so we can continually improve based on community input. We also take requests, and so we'll see you next time. Remember, create your way.